Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and we are in a different space today. I have a few recipes that I want to show you, and I'm doing this because I am Irish and we make things around this time of year, and I want to share them with you because they are cheap. There is no special way to make them, and they're recipes from my family that I am allowed to share with you. I have permission, so I hope you're excited. We are actually on top of my laundry machine right now because my kids are playing outside, except for when I have Deli with me right here, if you see her pigtail flying in here, and we're watching our chicks and ducks. So it is a full-time job here at our little homestead, and I always try and get a bunch of things done at one time. So that is the goal. Today, well, fingers crossed, knock on wood, we are going to try and make some Colcannon, which is my chicken wants to talk too. Colcannon is essentially mashed potatoes and cabbage, but I do it a different way, and I thought I'd show you before St. Patrick's Day comes up. We don't really do corned beef and cabbage. I know back home our local Legion clubs and elk clubs and moose clubs, they all do that and they serve that, but I don't do corned beef out here in Colorado. If I was home, I probably would. And then we make enough Colcannon so we can make some Irish boxty, which is just a potato pancake essentially. So it is one meal that we make into two separate meals, but it's basically potatoes. And then if we have time, I'm going to make something not Irish, but I'd like to make some risotto and prep that. I'm trying to mix up the content here when it comes to cooking, but since being back in the kitchen after being very sick with my pregnancy, I have just been wanting to make more food. So I hope you're excited. I hope you're along for the ride here. I will try and leave measurements as best as I can in the description box. But first things first, we have a big tub of salted water here. All I did was rinse my potatoes, and my potatoes did not do good this year. I planted them in a different box. If you didn't know, you're really supposed to plant potatoes in different places each year to prevent disease, but if you don't, I'm sure that it's fine too. I don't know, that I just heard it somewhere, so that's why I do that. But my red potatoes did great, my gold not so much, and then my purples, you know, not the best either. So what I did was go down to my local farm, and he was getting rid of some things in his root cellar, getting ready for some spring markets and things like that. And I got a bunch of potatoes. So I got about 30 pounds of potatoes for, I don't even want to tell you guys, for like $5 because we barter. So I traded a few things with him, and so I'm not saying that you could get that everywhere, but moral of the story, potatoes are super cheap and you can typically find them at a cheap price. So I got a lot of potatoes. We eat a lot of potatoes. They're my favorite. My favorite food are pierogies because, I don't know, because they're delicious. So when I make mashed potatoes, essentially, which is what this is, I make a lot of them. So I probably have about, I don't know, maybe 7 pounds of potato right now, just because we don't have a lot of freezer space. And this is how we're doing it. I did add one sweet potato in here, and that is not a classic, a classic Colcannon recipe, but my family really loves it, and we serve our Colcannon with something on top of it, and it makes the sweet potatoes taste super great. So my plan is to just get these all ready to go, get them all peeled, and then we are going to dice them. So I will check back with you here in about 15 minutes. Hello, we are in a different area now. Now I'm taking care of the baby chicks right next to me because they were chirping loudly. They needed someone near them. So what I have is the salted water. And really when I look at my recipes, they all say the same thing. And that is to dice them in pretty thick chunks, just like this. So what I do is dice the potato in half if it's a small one, and I make them into little half moons like this. But of course it's up to preference. I feel, I've cooked potatoes so many different ways, and I really feel that whatever way you want to dice them really works. But the key is to soak them in salted water for at least an hour or two, just to get those starches out, and then you can rinse them and boil them. So that's my only tip. I don't think it matters, just as long as they're relatively uniform, so they are cooking evenly. And with Colcannon, if you don't like lumpy mashed potatoes, don't write this recipe off. You can still make your smooth mashed potatoes. You are adding cabbage and onion to this. And if you want to simplify it, you can add coleslaw mix, which is what I'm doing for this recipe. So I don't know. I feel like since you're adding those two things, people stay away from Colcannon because it adds that like chunky element to it. But if you don't want that, you could also make this with kale, which was a classic, just because it grew so well is my understanding, and it was super frost tolerant. So you can add your kale to your mashed potatoes, but when I do my Colcannon with kale instead of cabbage, what I like to do is put it in my veggie chopper, I guess you could say, and chop it very finely. So that's also another way to do this. I've had people ask if you can like substitute parsley for kale. No, I understand where your head's at with like that flavor profile to put into mashed potatoes. I know parsley and kale don't taste the same, but it just, to me, you need something hearty. You need like a hearty brassica. I have mixed so many different things in mashed potatoes. My favorite way growing up was, peas and corn in my mashed potatoes, because, mashed potatoes were such a classic staple in a PA Dutch / Irish home. So yes, I feel this is a really great recipe. If you've never tried it, give it a try. What are you waiting for? It's so cheap and so easy. So I'm going to get back to chopping these, and then my next goal is to boil a pot of salted water, and that's probably when I'm going to see you next. After that, the plan is to saute the onions, cabbage, carrots, all that in some butter and lots of salt and pepper, and then that's when I actually will see you next. Next thing on the list is this risotto creamy rice, but I think my husband's going to be home at a decent hour, so I wanted to just make something cozy, and this one's really easy. So I have Alfredo sauce. We'll probably do maybe the full jar, I'm not sure yet. A half bag of frozen peas. I have shrimp, but you could do chicken, and I'm just soaking these in cold water so I can get the tails off. And then you bake this alongside of everything. It doesn't need to be cooked beforehand. And then I do some long grain white rice, and I need to rinse that before I put it in the casserole dish. But this is a 1-dish casserole, so I'll show you how I put it together. I'll set you up here and show you how I get it all done. So I have 2 cups of white rice in here. And I'm just going to cover this with some water and rinse it a few times. So I've actually soaked and rinsed this close to like 7 times, and you can still see this starch in here. So I think it's really important to, get all of this out of here. I do it with most of my grains. I guess quinoa is not really necessary, but out of habit, I still do it. So that is what thanks, bud. That is what I'm doing right now, and I will get back to you when this starch clears. So we have our rice here. It's all rinsed. I'm going to do a half bag of these sweet peas. Really, any green veggie works, or any veggie, to be honest. Who am I kidding? And then you're going to need your pasta sauce of choice. So we like Alfredo. Again, you can just add the whole thing, and then I'm going to add just a half of this jar of water, and you will see the rice really starts to thicken up here, and you might need to add more water eventually, or some sort of liquid. A broth would work too, but let me just get some warm water. So what I have in here is that I'd say maybe 3/4 of the jar of the water, and then I just did some salt in here, Normally I do garlic, but my husband likes this, so I'm not adding garlic, but I'm adding some lemon pepper, which has just a little bit in it. My son is being a fire truck behind me, if you can hear him. But what I'm gonna do is stir this all together. And then this is where you can add, I mean, if you wanna make it real cheap, just add a can of chicken. Ham is really cheap. You could just leave it as is. You could add beans to this. I've done it all. That's what I'm trying to say. You could do ground beef with this. But I'm gonna add shrimp because we have it and we need to use it up. And shrimp can be cheap if you find it on sale. I always try and get wild caught, but I get that it gets costly. So for the shrimp, I'm just going to lay it on top of here, and then we cover this and bake it at around 375 for, I don't know, I'd say 20, 25, are you okay? 20, 25 minutes. So that is what we're doing right now. So again, you could fry these up on each side if you want to, but you don't have to. So just gonna lay these on top. I took the tail off of these, and Dad, if you're watching, I did it the right way. There's a right way to take the tail off so you don't lose any meat. My dad is a fisherman. He's very serious about his fish and losing meat, but yes. How are you all? I haven't asked you that. I know a lot of you have been requesting for my husband to do a voiceover in these, which I love. I'm trying. I think he's pretty funny too. His humor is a lot more dry than mine, to be honest with you. A lot of people ask if I'm sad or what's going on with my personality, but I promise you I'm not sad. That's just how I am. So this is very strong smelling. This is going in the oven, covered 375 for 20 to 25 minutes while my potatoes boil for my Colcannon. My number one tip for every single one of you is to clean as you go, because you might end up getting overwhelmed like I am right now. So I'm gonna clean this up while my potatoes boil and listen to my kids play outside, and I'll catch up with you soon. Feeling much better about the kitchen. I went ahead and cleaned the sink as well. The only thing I don't like is this. So I'm gonna find some sort of spring decor somewhere. I'm not gonna buy anything, but just to make it look a little nicer. I usually put my fresh herbs up there, so that's probably what I'll do. But the idea is to cut up half of an onion. You could use a whole onion if you wanted to. I did put out some ingredients, sorry about the dishwasher, to make my husband an old fashioned when he gets home. I used to be a bartender. That was my trade. And I really like making drinks, and he happens to like my old fashioned. So I set that out, ignore that in the background. What I'm doing right now is doing the onion, trying to be loud because of that dishwasher. And see, I do have kale, so if I wanted to, I could do some kale. I'm actually saving that for the chickens and ducks though. And star of the show, some coleslaw. I could not find any organic coleslaw. This is what we're doing for now. But I did want to mention one thing. If you've been with me for a while, you'll know that I canned a bunch of cabbage, and that was more like a canning of sauerkraut, and I got it from my PA Grange cookbook, and it looks just like this. This is dill on the bottom, don't be alarmed. But there's onion in there, there's some cabbage, and this was homegrown cabbage. We have some dill, and you could also use this for this recipe, but my favorite way to use that is with I'm blanking, halushki. I grew up in a very Polish town, so pierogies, halushki, things like that, they were served just about anywhere. You could get them on the side, and hi.
Hey, look, I made a big mess.
Yeah, you did. Okay, but I did want to mention that if you're canning and you use that recipe from the summertime, then you could totally put that in the Colcannon if you wanted to, and then that way you wouldn't have to cook your coleslaw down, your cabbage down. But yes, that's what I was saying. I'm off track now. There is a huge mess out here. I'll be back. Okay, yes, my son reminds me of my own brothers. I grew up with 5 brothers, and they all, except for 1 or 2 maybe, tormented me my entire life, still do. But anyways, he put dirt in Delilah's hair, which is tricky because we have another little girl on the way. I'm hoping he will be a good big brother. He is certainly loving, but sometimes he is, you know, a boy. So yes, that's what I'm dealing with right now. I'm gonna get you turned around. We're gonna cut up these onions. I might do that off camera so I don't cry in front of you. Nothing helps, nothing works. Maybe I'll wear some sunglasses or my snowboard goggles, but yes, that's what I'm doing. Trying to catch up. So I did want to actually show you this. So I'm gonna try not to get teary-eyed here. I have these thin slices, and what I like to do sometimes, watch your fingers, honey. Let's see if I can, I probably can't, but I'm gonna put them in my chopper. This little veggie chopper. It's always linked in my Amazon store, but you can find them super cheap just about anywhere. A veggie chopper. Ooh. And I'm gonna put it right in here. Why, you wanna press it down? Oh my gosh.
So, I can't. Oh, good.
Oh, thanks. Okay. So this is what we're doing with these. And then it just gets some fine, can we move the fire truck? Thanks so much. It gets some,
wow.
some fine cuts in here. So back up. Okay, and it makes it a little easier on my eyes here. I'm gonna get this all in a saute pan, and I will show you how I season.
Season?
I do have my pan here getting super hot, and then what I'm gonna do is just add my cabbage into here, and you will see that that cabbage cooks down. I feel like
give this to the chick?
No, honey, no onion for chickens. But I feel like cabbage cooks down like spinach. It just gets wilted and small, so you can do the whole bag if you want, but it's not necessary. It's said to bring good luck though, so we will do it. We need all the luck we can get, huh, guys?
All the luck.
All the luck, huh?
How? Whoa, there's eggs in there. What? Do you have scissors?
No, can't find them. All right, so then the cabbage goes in. I'm actually just gonna do a half bag because I now have a strong craving for coleslaw because that's how pregnancy brain works. And this is 2 tablespoons of butter. I did measure it. I measured the butter for you because you'll need some butter for your potatoes too. We're gonna do lemon pepper in here. The key is a lot of pepper. This is how I make my halushki too, which is the exact same recipe, but instead of potatoes, you're gonna add noodles. Any pasta works. Homemade noodles are the best though. Just stir that up. Oh my gosh, this smells like my county fair. Here from home, smells like it. You want a little dose of the fair right now. Should wilt some moisture out. If not, just add a few tablespoons of water. So we'll see how it goes here. So this is what the mixture looks like. You want it a little bit brown and you want it wilted. So I'm gonna keep that pretty low. And in the meantime, the shrimp and rice mixture did come out of the oven. It's obviously not ready yet. I'm gonna give it a stir, but I did uncover it at around 20 minutes, and now I'm going to leave it uncovered for the duration of the cooking. So now I'm just mixing it together here. I like to do that. The rice doesn't typically stick, but I do like to just make sure everything is pretty well combined here. And then we can pop it back in. So my original timing was off. I did use a lower temperature, so please ignore my 350. We were at 375, and we'll probably do this for 35 minutes. So I have been playing around with angles just to not keep it too boring, but I really think this is the best angle for when we do overhead shots, just because you can see everything. So that was a half stick of butter, and then you saw the potatoes being drained. I do not rinse them. And this is all I do for my mashed potatoes. You could totally do whatever you want here. You could do your heavy whipping cream. You could do milk in here, sour cream, however you like your mashed potatoes. Forgot I had a little bit of raw milk in there. We are trying out a new raw milk person, so they gave us a bunch of different samples there. So I just put that in. Tastes great. We'll probably go with them. They're in Northeast Colorado. Just email me if you want their information, because it is quite the operation, but a lot of people still aren't on board with raw milk. I get it, but yes. Okay, I'm mixing this together. It is salted butter, but you're still gonna add a lot of salt. You know, a lot of people watch their salt for various reasons, but sometimes salt can be good for you, especially when you're eating it with potatoes. Quote me on that, because I am definitely a doctor, right? But anyways, I feel like it's okay to do every now and again. My favorite salt is Redmond's Real, but if you're not getting that, I just get this pink Himalayan salt from Sam's Club. Honestly, I switch whatever works. You could beat these if you wanted to, but I am just going to mash them with my potato masher here, and I'll meet you for the next step, which is real easy. Next step is just to take your cabbage, onion, carrot mixture, and you're gonna put it into your mashed potatoes and mix it together, and that's it. It's super simple. I like to scrape my mashed potatoes with this spatula just because I can get the bottom really well. So really good, really well. I don't know, I always say things the wrong way. I feel like any grammar police in the comments. They're fun people, huh? Anyways, I'm just going to mix this together here, and we serve ours with sour cream. That's our special sauce, but brown gravy is really, really yummy with this. I just don't have any of my pre-made powder on hand. I made like a veggie powder for it, and it's really, really yummy, but I'm gonna cover this up and wait for the risotto. I'm trying to talk over the dishwasher again. Here are the kids' dishes. We have the Colcannon. They requested apple and cinnamon, and then a whole wheat cheese quesadilla, and that is what they like. That's what they're gonna have, so they're gonna munch on that. They're not sour cream kids because they just eat sour cream, so I just think it's gross, and I don't like them to do that, so we're not doing sour cream with theirs, but I'm gonna plate up my bowl and munch on that while I wait for the risotto. I've snuck away to a quiet corner, but this Colcannon, it's so good. It has that sweetness from the onions as well as the sweet potato, but it has that savory element from the butter and there's a dove outside. Let's see how Dolly handles this. Dolly's my like head hen. She is not a fan of other birds, but we'll see if she lets her out there. My neighbor keeps pigeons, so, or well, doves, but it's beside the point. Anyways, this is so good. I suggest adding, oh, nope, not happy, the sweet potato with it. I think it just adds an extra element. And then a brown gravy is always a great mix to have, and then you could also add sausage to this or something if you're missing some element, but potato bowls are just so nourishing for me. I love it. Honestly, I'm just gonna eat this and a little bit of that risotto and call it good, but that's what it looks like. Super yummy. I hope you try it. The risotto, whatever you want to call it, rice Alfredo just came out, and it is delicious. I will leave all the measurements in the description box for you, but I wanted to show you how it came out. Fluffy and oh so yum. Okay, wow, it got super warm and it's supposed to snow, so I was trying to be outside and just get everything, I don't know, covered. I made a garden box on the other channel, and yep, good job. Put it in the sink. And I don't have a covering over it, which reminds me, if you are into woodworking, can I use linseed oil to make my garden box waterproof without it leaching into our soil? I don't know, unless you have some sort of thing to make this waterproof. But anyways, I was out there doing that, so I'm all hot now. But tomorrow it's supposed to snow big time. So yes, it will be nice to have a cozy recipe, but the Colcannon, what you can do afterwards is make it into a boxy, and I will leave the recipe right here on the screen, and I will also put it in the description box. But yes, that is the plan for this week. Nothing happened. Hold on one second. That's the plan for this week, is just midweek make those into some Boxy's potato pancakes, essentially. But I hope you enjoyed today. I love taking you along in the kitchen. Let me know what you want to see next. Subscribe if you're new. Give this video a big thumbs up. I think we covered all the bases. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, y'all.
Wide awake is the way that you left me, side by side in your car in the backseat. Wide awake is the way that you left me. Oh.